Hi guys, just thought I'd do an update of what I'm doing and a couple of items I've bought, and basically not been doing any updates recently because I'm just fed up with YouTube, plus I've been very busy at work, projects and all sorts of stuff going on, but don't like the YouTube Google Plus setup, the messaging system. It's terrible. If enough people complain, hopefully they'll change it back to the old way. It's pathetic, but anyway, we've got a little bit for now, and if you can hear a banging, that's actually my new tram system that's been installed in Manchester, and there's a lot of work going on, doing the track work, etc. Anyway, sorry about that, sort of sidetracking. Yeah, the latest project I'm doing is the Trix F7, the Amtrak, which is an old Marklin style setup on the motor and chassis. So I'm going to be installing the ESU lok-sound V4, chop the speaker off there, install a bass reflex speaker, and just obviously adjust all this wiring appropriately using a female 8-pin harness, and hopefully I should have that working later on today. I was going to use one motor to drive 2 units, but the ampage might be too much for the chip to handle, so I'll probably end up putting a lok-sound in each one and a bass reflex speaker in each one, which I've done previously in the past on other models. It's been a nightmare. This has spent hours and hours and hours on it because it had a faulty. One of these motors had to be completely restripped and rebuilt with the help of one of my friends. He's an electronics expert and motor expert and many other fields as well. So yeah, I've got the 8-pin interface in, tested it out with a bog standard chip. Both motors are now running nicely together in tandem. Next thing to do is put the speaker in this end, or the same end as the chip. Make sure all these wires are tidied up, put the bodies back. Well, I won't put the bodies back, then program it and see what it sounds like, and then give it a test, then put the bodies back. Hopefully that'll be it. It's been a real challenge, this one. So obviously you've got to wire your motors up. Reverse orange and grey have got to be the other way around on this motor. Whichever motor you start off with, orange and grey on that one's got to be opposite way around on this one for them to run together back to back, because I'm only using one chip and not two, and one bass reflex speaker. And you also cut one of the sound depressor chips, resistor type sort of diodes. You cut the top of that off. I'll show a close up of that soon. And also your common pole on here is your right hand prong on the bulb, and then you can put your white or yellow on the other side and run the common pole wire to the opposite end. That's the only thing you've got to do, is you've got to mess around doing that because there's only one chip for working both motors and lights. So other than that, it's all ready to rock and roll and put it back together. Tested it, had it on the rolling road for an hour or so, and it seems to be fine. So I'm going to get this put back together. So I'm going to bring the wires up and over the motor and out the back door so they don't get tangled up around the movement of the motor around bends. Voila, we have power. Never thought I'd see this on this model, but there we go. Just need to get sound chip in it now. Get that bottle of Beck's down my neck for me reward tonight. Anyway. Wunderbar. I am chuffed. So I think next stage is chuck in a lok-sound V4 and bass reflex speaker, one chip to power 2 locos, and hopefully if that works then it's job complete. Put it all back together again and leaving the conventional bulbs in for now, and I'm going to tidy up the model and just touch out where it's chipped here and there on the paintwork. That's it. So now we're just downloading a sound file for a US loco which is similar to this, not exactly the same, and just programming it up now, the chip and the tester and programmer, and then I shall put it on the rolling road, fit it inside, fit that speaker, and it's nearly done. So that side is complete. This side has got to be tidied up. About time. Just a tip, I always solder and use heat shrink around any joints when you put a new speaker on, just to make sure you get 100% perfect connection. And just tin the wires up with solder. I use something like that sometimes to help hold the solder like that while I'm using the soldering iron. Maybe put a wire on that end. Just got a soldering station there. Yeah, another tip is I do recommend getting a decoder tester for whatever mate you're using, because then you can just like chuck it in the tester unit and just fire it up straight away without messing around putting it in the loco, and then you know it works then. As you can see, or here rather, that works fine on the software. So that's ready to go in there now, so tidy up the wires. So bass reflex is going there. It might have to go back a bit, I'm not sure yet. You've got to remember to insulate the top of the interface where it plugs in. If it's not insulated, make sure it is, otherwise if it shorts out on the chassis it blows the chip and destroys it. And make sure all the wires are insulated when you're doing stuff like this on the older stuff with the metal chassis. Yeah, so there's a final trim. Everything's been adjusted so that screws and the guide screws and all the rest of it can go in, and the bogies can swivel without being obstructed. Up and over wires, just leaving nice and loose, nothing too tight. Everything's insulated, so hopefully this should work.